push-up in its simplest stage, I want you to kneel on the floor like this, what some people call the cat pose. Okay? Now, knees under the hips, and do what you did in the handstand, which means push the sitting bones down, lift the top of the hips up, lengthen the lower back, lift the ribs up, lift the upper back, and now push the hips or the belly button toward the hands, and push the armpits toward the hips. That will firm the front of the trunk and the armpits. Can you feel that? But I don't want just those muscles firm. We need the resistance to protect us in a handstand. So while the armpits and hips push towards each other, I want your hands to push forward and your knees to push back. Can you feel that tightens the front of the arm, the front of the shoulders? Now pull the hands toward the knees, pull the knees to the hands, and that softens the front of the shoulders. Push the hands forward, that tightens the front of the shoulders, but now you've lost the spine. So can you do both? Can you make the front of the spine firm and the armpits firm by pushing hips and armpits towards each other? Can you make the front of the shoulder firm by pushing the hands forward and pushing the knees back? That both together. Now keep the elbows exactly where they are, keep doing that, and then bend the elbows. Kneeling push-up position. Put your forearms on the floor if you want to. Not for everyone. Huh? Kneeling push-up. Not the kneeling crunch-up back position. Come back up. So what some of you did is this. This is a nice lengthened back. Can you see it? It's what we learned in this position. What I want you to do is come from this position here and come to the straight spine. Because after that, eventually after the Lolasana, there's the forward bend, then you do a straight spine, which is a push-up, then you do an up dog, don't you? So all we were doing all this morning was doing Lolasana, push-up position, and then upward facing dog. Make sense? There's the Lolasana, it needs this muscle. There's the straight spine, and then the upward facing dog is this one. So this is Lolasana, here's the Lolasana. What you did kneeling, bend forward spine, and then the push-up is the straight spine, and then the up dog is the bending backwards. Got that? But what many of you did was, you might have started with the forward bending spine, but then you bent your elbows like this. And you went straight to the bending backward spine. So to not let that happen, keep your elbows where they are, keep pushing the hips forward and bend the shoulders forward. See how that's more straight spine? Yes? Try that. Put the hands on the floor, kneeling plank position. Now, lift the top of the hips, push the sitting bones down, ribs up, top of the hips up, push the hips and armpits towards each other, that tightens back of the armpits and the front of the spine. So hips and armpits push towards each other, hands and knees push apart. It's okay? Check you can breathe in your tummy, but the tummy feels firm. Ribs go up, top of hips go up, armpits and hips push towards each other, that movement. Push the belly button to the hands, belly button into your hands. That's it. Armpits toward the hips. Then push the hands forward and knees back. Okay? Then keep the elbows where they are. Now bend the elbows, moving the shoulders forward. Kneeling push-up position. Different feeling, straight spine. Stay in the kneeling push-up, not the kneeling push-up collapse. Come back up. Okay, that was average. To be polite. Okay, so what tends to happen is you become victims of gravity. So what happened for many of you is there's nice, forward bend, then you come shoulders forward, straight spine, but then you went, So a lot of people do that in the push-up. They're not really doing a push-up, they're doing just collapse. And then they use momentum to come up to this position. So what I'm saying is there are several stages. The first stage could be the forward bending spine. Now believe it or not, that's actually easier like this. And then the elbow bend position is this one. Harder is to lift up the chin without letting the back collapse. Then the shoulders can go down, but don't leave them down, bring them back up a bit. Then if you want to, straighten the knees. Then you could try the whole plank, but notice the whole plank is still spine bending forward. It's not this. That's why whole plank is a bad pose. Because most of you, when you straighten the knees, it's like doing this. You're here like this. As soon as people straighten the knees in a plank, they do that. So what I'm saying is, keep the knees bent, kneeling plank, that keeps your back long. And if you are going to straighten your knees, you have to keep the back long while the leg goes back. But for most people, as the leg goes back, that happens. As the knee straightens. Make sense? Try again. Kneeling plank with your chin in. We'll do in 3 stages. Don't bend the elbows yet. Start knees under the hips. Then push the sitting bones down, top of the hips up, lengthen lower back. Ribs up, lift the upper back. Push hips and armpits towards each other, tightening front of spine, not the sides. Breathe into the tummy, tighten the armpits. And then armpits and hips push towards each other. Push the hands forward, which tightens front of shoulders, but keep the armpits pushing backwards. Push the hips forward, which tightens front of spine. Push the knees backward, tighten back of hips. Then from there, without moving the elbows back, bend the elbows. Shoulders forward, shoulders and elbows same height, chin in. Shoulders and elbows same height, chin in. Tailbone down, top of hips up, lengthen lower back. Ribs up, lift the upper back. Fingers grip, tummy can breathe. Next stage for those who can is lift up the chin. Not the back, the chin. Breathe. Tailbone down, top of hips up, lengthen lower back. Ribs up, lengthen upper back, belly expand, breathe. Next stage, let the shoulders dip down 3 centimeters and come back up a bit. Do that 5 times. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, and release. Could I borrow you? You've got much bigger arms than me. What's your name? Chris. Chris, Simon. Come over here, see Chris. He's got good arms. So you can demonstrate this because he's got good arms. You practice push-ups occasionally and stuff like that. Okay, good. You've got arms like my legs, so I need arms like yours. Okay, so he can demonstrate maybe more of the stages. But what I'm suggesting is actually a full push-up is much harder than people give it credit for. And if it's not done with the due credit it deserves, it actually causes problems. So I'm suggesting that most people are better off staying in the kneeling plank. And that's actually going to keep your back better and make your arms stronger. So just do a kneeling plank first if you would. You said Chris, isn't it? Yes. So with a kneeling plank, you want the elbows straight, Chris. You want the elbows as far forward as you can take them to about there. That's what you'd need for a full handstand. But obviously you can't go that far forward for some of you. Now the palms are flat, but I want the fingers to grip. And it will help if you squeeze the heel of the hand inwards, like you're trying to do that. Okay? Then I want the knees under the hips, Chris. Bring the knees here. That'll give you a position you can start from. So push the sitting bones down, lift the top of the hips up, lengthen the lower back. Lift the ribs up, lift the upper back. Now that gives length. And that length alone will help release your back. But now we want strength. So push the armpits toward the hips, push the hips toward the hands like you're trying to do this. Chris, imagine you were doing that. That's what you'd be doing. Armpits and hips move towards each other. But chin in is much easier, right? So head down, neck up. Then from there, keep that feeling. Push the hands forward, that tightens the front of the shoulder. See his front shoulder? Look, it's firm. Now push the hands backward, and this goes soft. Now push hands forward, and it goes firm. Can you see it? But armpits, pushing hands forward, he's got to still push armpits back. Push hands forward for a second, and the tummy changes. Push hands back. So what's happening is you're just tucking the tailbone under. I want your hips to push to your hands, Chris, until this bit here pushes to your hands. Push that bit to my hand. Press my hand from there. Press my hand from your armpit. So I want your armpit to push into my hand and your hip to push to my hand. That firms you. Keep that feeling. Now push the hands forward and knees back. So it's doing 2 opposite things at the same time. Now from that position, keep your elbows still, keep the back long, move your shoulders to here. Bend the elbows to here. That's it. There. So that's a kneeling push-up position. But adjust the spine, walk your knees back a little bit. Now adjust the knees down, tailbone down, top of the hips up, ribs up, lengthen lower back, and there's a straight spine. Got that? Now that one you have to hold. He can hold it. Most of you have trouble here. If you got to this stage, you're doing good. Now the next stage, we check, sitting bones down, top of hips up, ribs up, lengthen lower back, belly out, that's it. Then from there, shoulders stay down, chin lifts up. That's much harder, isn't it? Chin in, much easier. Chin up, much harder. That's another stage. Then, harder still, touch the shoulders to my hand, Chris. That's easy, but come back up. Do that 3 times. Up, down, from there. That's an important range to get. And then stop there. Stop. That's the next stage. Then leaping the tailbone down, lift the knees up. There's the full push-up. But to come from the full plank, now lift up to full plank, stop. See how the back's squashed? Come back down again. This bit lift up first. This bit lift up from there. Lift up, full plank from there. See how it's squashing? I want to not pinch the skin. Knees down for a second. So lift up here. See how that's nice and stretched? Keep that stretched. Now tailbone down, lift up the knees. Lift up the knees. Harder, lift the tailbone down. So walk the feet further back, adjust. Walk the feet further back, knees further back, tailbone down, ribs up. Keep this shape, this stretch, then try and work out how you can lift your knees up.
Lift it on the flat or do it like this?
It doesn't matter, I don't mind. So walk the legs further back, otherwise you can't lift your knees. So tailbone down, top of the hips up. See how that's lengthened spine now? That can be, you've moved your elbows back, bring your elbows to here. So full plank is very hard, isn't it? Tailbone down, top of hips up, ribs up. Now that's the forward bend position. Keep this up, this down, and then from there, now go to a full push-up from here. Without collapsing the spine. Shoulders go to here now. There. And that's it. And then lift up the chin, tailbone down, top of the hips up, ribs up. Tailbone down, top of the hips up. Yeah. That's it, straight. See, you can't pitch it. Now stay there. Do your best approximation. Now say, my name is Chris and I love push-up position.
My name is Chris. I love push-up position.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much. It gets you hot, no? But now, I don't weigh as much as him, so there's less of me to do, but I'll just quickly revise. So this is front firm, side soft. You can see if I do Uddiyana Bandha. Then from there, I keep the elbows still. I might have to move the kneeling push-up. It's pretty much a straight spine. But this is harder. So this is easier. This is harder. But if this position's like this, I can't bend the elbows. So I have to lift the chin, then I can take my shoulders down. But most people only fall down, so if I say chinning, that hurts too. So you have to come down, then up, lower the tailbone, and then knees up, and then full plank, as opposed to sagging plank. So lengthen the back, so a forward bend is there, same. So I did it, see the back is stretched? Can you keep the back just as stretched? Then from there, down or up. You got the idea? And the idea is, can you still talk while doing it? Now, very few of you will get as far as Chris did because he's very strong. Okay? So, got the idea? Just do one more thing before you start. Make a fist. Turn the palm towards you, make a bulging biceps. Strong, huh? When my kid was younger, I used to do magic tricks with them. You know, disappearing acts? Look at your biceps. Make it strong. Now open your palm, turn the palm away. Biceps gone. Make fist, pull toward, biceps comes back. Palm over, biceps gone. You see how the biceps disappears? If you open the palm and turn the palm away, yes? So if you want a strong arm in the push-up, wouldn't the biceps help a little bit? It helps stabilize you. So in that's a push-up position, isn't it? So if you're in a push-up position, you want a strong arm, grip with the fingers and turn the palm towards you. See how the biceps, the whole arm is stronger. So if you're in a push-up, you don't just sit like that. You do resistance exercise. You try and do this. You got the idea? Try it. Come back to kneeling plank is the question, is it? Quick question, loud.
Often when I do this Chaturanga,
Yes.
then my elbows hurt.
This will hurt them less. We'll try, okay? If you do this, it gives an elbow bandha. So see if it helps, and I'll get you to do a halfway version with the elbows working like this, okay? So come to the kneeling plank first. So kneeling plank first, and then from that position yourself intelligently, means fingers grip, palms flat. Then heel of hand squeeze inwards, like that. Elbows stay over wrists. Hips push to armpits, armpit push to hips until the back is lengthened. Tailbone down, top of the hips up, ribs up, belly out, chin in. And then from that position, hands push forward, but armpits push back. Hips push forward, knees push back. Stay there, or without losing the shape and length of your spine, or without losing the length of your spine rather, elbows stay still, push the hips forward, bend the elbows. So elbows ideally here if your wrists is okay for it. So shoulders over the tips of the fingers. And tailbone down, top of the hips up, ribs up, chin in. Fingers grip, heel of the hand squeezing inwards. Come back up. Did you remember to do that? Let's check. Let's do the opposite. Let's do fingers grip, push the heel of the hand out. So fingers grip, push the heel of the hand out, bend the elbows. Come back. It's horrible, isn't it? So the better way is the other way. Fingers grip, heel of hand squeeze inwards, that's going to strengthen. Hey, how do you feel on your elbow? Does that help your elbow? Yes, it helps a bit. Okay, good. So fingers grip, heel of hand squeezing inwards, shape of the spine, then bend the elbows. Shoulders over the fingertips, elbows over the wrists, stay there. Check. Tailbone down, top of hips up, lengthen lower back, ribs up, lift the upper back, armpits and hips push towards each other, hands and knees push away from each other, chin in, stay there, or chin up, not the back up, chin up. Tailbone down, top of hips up, lengthen lower back, walk the knees back. Ribs up, lift the upper back, walk the knees back a bit. And then chin up. Then from that position, some of you can, shoulders touch the floor and come back up 3 times. Up, down, stay up, stay there, or tailbone down, knees up. Stay there, or just tailbone down, top of hips up, ribs up, lift the upper back, belly expand, stay there, or full plank. Oh, not full stag, full plank, full push up, hold the full push up and say, I love push up position, it's something I can really relax in. Okay, come back up. It's challenging, isn't it? It's a hard position. So I'm not trying to say to you, learn a really hard position. You can, or you can just go, I'm going to be happy with the easy version. Is that fair enough? Be happy with the easy version, which might be for some of you, the kneeling plank. Or the kneeling plank with the elbow bent a little bit, because it's much harder than it looks. Once you can do a good push-up, guaranteed pretty much you can lift up to handstand. Because actually, the push-up actually is something that comes after the handstand. So the whole thing of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga is that you learn pose 23 before they progress you to pose 24. Is that familiar to you? So when you're doing salutes are, pose 1 is lift up the arms. Oh, I can do that. Hands to floor, pose 2. Oh, I can do that. Pose 3 is lean on the hands, lift up the legs. Oh, okay, I'll do that. Then pose 4 is the harder one, push-up position. True? And that tells you then what's pose 5. So can you do a pose 5 now that you've proven to me you can do a good push-up? You know what I mean? People think that up dog is an easy pose. Why? Because it's the upward facing sag. Because you're not really lifting up, you're just collapsing. Because if you couldn't do a push-up, then I doubt the integrity of your up dog. Does that make sense? So now lie on the tummy. And then from that position, just press on the hands and lift up to the up dog that you can do best. Okay? And just notice if you drop the hips, the lower back sags more. So come back down. So as you drop the hips, some of you, like Linda perhaps, that might feel nice to lower the hips because your back doesn't squash. You like lowering the hips, no? Because you see she gets no back pain. So if a person gets no back pain, you can just collapse and it feels nice. But very few of you yesterday found that collapsing the back feels nice. So for most of you, put the back where it wants to go. So where does it want to go without the help of gravity? So to feel that, do Shalabhasana. Take your hands back behind you, then lift up the chest, shoulders and chin off the floor, and measure how far you came up. Okay? Now that shape, for me, it's like my shoulders are about 5 centimeters above my hips. You too, right? So now look at me while doing the pose. My shoulders are 5 centimeters above my hips. I know my back's not hurting, and if I do the same shape in the air, that's that. Don't you do it, I'm doing it. So that's the same shape here, that's the same shape here, but this one is the sag. So, okay, so can you do the same shape? Hands next to lower ribs, measure the distance from shoulders to hips in vertical drop, keep that shape, hands next to lower ribs, keep the same shape and lift up the same shape in the air. That's the Shalabhasana in the air. Now lower back down. Did it sag less? That's the easiest way to do a non-saggy up dog. Okay? Now, you can also add on to that, if you know what to do with your hips. So to do with your hips, stay in the pose, let go if you can. Push the tailbone down, lift the top of the hips up. Now breathe into the tummy. And that breathing in the tummy releases the lower back. Put the elbows on the floor. Pull with your elbows. Or pull with your hands. It's like you're trying to do this. I call it SAS asana. Okay, like this. So you're trying to drag yourself forward. Pull, pull. Can you feel the armpits are working? Like that. So that section, that action of pulling, that's going to lengthen your spine because you're pulling your belly button forward and up. Now, forward and up is a back bend. This is belly button forward and up, like that. That lengthens the front. But right now, where's forward for you? Into the floor, isn't it? So that means you've got to feel like in the pose, the one you're doing now, is do this. See how my belly's expanding? So do that on the floor. Pull with your elbows. Now make the belly button expand in the floor. Okay? Now push the tailbone down, lift the top of the hips up, and expand the belly into the floor. That will release your lower back a little bit. Now, check. Do the opposite. Curl the tailbone up, top of the hips down, pull the belly button in. And that shortens your spine. Can you feel it? So try the opposite. Push the tailbone down, top of the hips up, pull with the armpits and breathe into the tummy. So the belly goes toward the floor, top of hips away from the floor, which is what Dane did upside down in that Uttana Padasana. Make sense? I hope so. From that position then, this one we call the cobra action, the pulling action. And that's what you could do in the upward facing dog. Stay there. So this action of pulling, I have to do with my arms, like this. And in this position here, I pull, like that. Got the idea? So same shape. Pull, push down the feet, lift up the knees. Push down the tailbone, lift the top of the hips. You can squeeze, you can turn your thighs in a bit too, that helps. The belly expand, armpits firm, let go of the hands, stay there, or hands next to lower ribs, lift to the same shape, stay, or pull the hands towards you, and belly expand. Top of hips up, tail down. Belly expand, breathe there. Chest expand, breathe there. Neck is soft. Tummy can breathe. Then lower down, release. Does that feel okay? That gets you more length, but there's something else you can do. Then the other one you can do is to learn to work with the shoulders. Okay, so bend the knees, take the arms back behind you. This is like Dhanurasana. Now grab the ankles if you can. And then from that position, grab the outer ankles better. Outer ankles. Now from there, turn your shoulders in. That collapses your spine, doesn't it? Then turn your shoulders out. Can you feel that opens your back? Turn your shoulders in, brings the spine to bend forward more. Turn shoulders out. Okay? And then turn the shoulders in. What does it take to turn the shoulders out? Can you feel the muscles are turning out? Then release and just sit up for a second. So when we turn the shoulders out, that opens the back. That, in the up dog, is like doing that. Can you see this? So that's what, when we're doing the upward facing dog, I said do this, remember? That's that pose. So take right hand on left shoulder. Now turn the palm out. Okay? Left hand, right shoulder, turn the palm out. Can you feel the back of the shoulders working a bit? Turn the shoulder in and you feel it's a different muscle. Turn out. So if I was doing that in an up dog, which is a resistance exercise, I would be in this position and I'd be trying to do this, that. You see that? I'm pulling it towards me, tightens armpits, but doing that is the muscles that turn the shoulder out, like that. Got the idea? Oh. So, here I'm in this position, watch again. This is the cobra, a pulling action. This is the shalabhasana action, and this is the turning out action. So from here, or what I'll call that action, Dhanurasana action. So this is shalabhasana action, same shape. Cobra action, Dhanurasana action, see it? And I'm trying to do this, hand pulling out, and that opens up my chest. Can we try? Okay, so on the floor, press down the feet, lift up the knees. Push the tailbone down, lift the top of the hips up. Then belly button out, no hands, feet press down, knees press up. Stay, or same shape in the air. Stay, or cobra action, pull the hands toward the feet, pull the feet toward the hand. Then Dhanurasana action, turn the shoulders out. Like you're pulling the hands out to the side. That's it. Neck is soft. Top of the hips up, tailbone down, belly button breathe. And collarbone lift up, neck is soft. Come back down, release. Did it help a little bit? Okay, that's the start.